History. In technical terms, history is the science through which we learn about the lives of kings, prophets, conquerors, and notable figures, as well as the significant events and customs of past eras. It serves as a means to understand the social, ethical, and cultural aspects of bygone times. Some define history as the study of human societies living together, referred to as civilization or madinah, and the various conditions that naturally affect them. These events are recorded as historical accounts, passed down from predecessors to successors as lessons and examples. Others suggest that the word history derives from reversing the root word for delay, meaning to relate earlier times to later ones, such as noting when a religion, empire, or battle emerged. In essence, history consists of events and accounts recorded in relation to time. The need for history. History acquaints us with the lives of our ancestors, igniting a blessed enthusiasm in our hearts and minds. Human nature has an inherent curiosity that drives us to explore countries, gardens, mountains, and deserts. This same curiosity compels children to listen to bedtime stories and adults to enjoy tales of adventure. It also aligns with the Quranic command, "Ask the people of knowledge if you do not know," encouraging the study of historical books. Recognizing this natural inclination, the Creator infused divine scriptures with historical narratives. The Israelites, once a great nation who claimed, "We are the children of God and His beloved," fell into degradation as they forgot their ancestors' history. Thus, Allah repeatedly addressed them with, "O children of Israel, remember," reminding them of their forebears' stories. Benefits of history. Studying history elevates courage, fosters determination, encourages virtuous deeds, and deters wrongdoing. It enhances wisdom, foresight, prudence, and caution. It alleviates sorrow and brings joy. Historical study strengthens the ability to uphold truth and refute falsehood, sharpens decision-making, and instills patience and steadfastness, keeping the mind and heart fresh and vibrant. In short, history is a profound preacher and a supreme source of lessons. Through it, one feels present in the assemblies of kings, conquerors, prophets, saints, philosophers, and scholars, benefiting from their wisdom. It helps avoid the mistakes of past leaders, and no other science can be studied with such joy and without fatigue as history. Preserving national traits through history. A nation well-versed in its historical events and past achievements preserves its unique traits and distinctions. Such knowledge prevents its people from losing heart in any challenge, reinforcing their resolve and enabling them to reclaim lost virtues. A person ignorant of their ancestors' history might betray trust when opportunity arises, but one aware of their forebears' integrity, such as a grandfather who prioritized honor over wealth, finds it difficult to act dishonorably. Similarly, someone unaware of their ancestors' bravery might flee the battlefield, but one who knows their forebears' heroic stands will be restrained by their legacy. The same applies to virtues like loyalty, truthfulness, chastity, modesty, and generosity. Knowledge of ancestors' deeds fosters peace and vitality in nations. Some neighboring nations, lacking a glorious history, resort to fabricating stories and presenting them as history to achieve similar ends. Heedless of the shame this brings in the eyes of honest historians. History and noble lineage. Since history records the virtues of the good and the vices of the wicked, those from ignoble families have little love for it. Noble nations remember their ancestors' distinguished deeds, which they consider essential to maintaining their dignity. Base nations, over time, forget even their ancestors' noble actions. For a family or nation whose forebears excelled in worship, valor, knowledge, or prestige, recalling these deeds can inspire resolve and honor. However, this is not possible for ignoble nations. Thus, those passionate about history are often noble, highborn, and virtuous. No ignoble, atheistic, or cowardly person has ever been a great historian. The historian. The best historian is one with sound faith and a pure religion, who records events accurately, without omission or exaggeration. Where there is a risk of misunderstanding, they may clarify the truth. A historian must avoid flattery or enmity, writing in a simple, clear, and natural style. Ornate or poetic language often obscures the purpose of historiography, which is why histories written in verse are generally deemed unreliable. A historian must be distinguished in honesty, integrity, truthfulness, and good conduct, avoiding falsehood and frivolity. Compiling history requires immense effort, yet certainty is not guaranteed. A historian must be knowledgeable in astronomy, geography, civilization, and world religions, as well as intelligent, insightful, just, eloquent, and articulate. Despite these qualities, some challenges, such as interpreting ambiguous accounts, remain nearly insurmountable. For example, a report of someone attending a theater could imply various motives: enjoyment of music, admiration of beauty, love for an actress, meeting a friend, researching a topic, opposing theater undercover work, or even pickpocketing. Each possibility requires corroboration, and a biased historian may favor one conclusion, ignoring contrary evidence and leading readers astray. Readers of history. Just as compiling history is challenging, studying it and deriving proper benefit is no easy task. Readers should view historical accounts as a source of lessons, learning from past mistakes to avoid them, and embracing the virtues that led to success. Condemning or cursing the deceased is ungentlemanly, but expressing love, praying for them, or interpreting their faults charitably is commendable. Traveling to historical sites and studying history are similar, but reading history yields greater insights in less time than physical exploration. However, the more biased a reader is, the less they benefit from historical study. Sources of history. Historical sources are generally divided into three categories. 1. Written records. Books, diaries, official documents, decrees, and judgments. 2. Oral traditions. Stories, poems, and proverbs passed down verbally. 3. Archaeological remains. Ruins, forts, inscriptions, ancient weapons, coins, and artifacts. Utilizing these sources requires exceptional intelligence, effort, passion, and insight, as well as knowledge of a nation's customs, habits, and geography. Types of history. History can be classified in various ways. By scope, it is divided into general history and specific history. General history, covering the history of all humanity. Specific history, focusing on a single nation, dynasty, or event. By quality, it is divided into narrative history and analytical history. Narrative history, based on eyewitness accounts or reliable narrations, considered the most valuable and accurate, requiring minimal speculation. Analytical history, compiled from archaeological and oral sources or logical deductions, such as histories of ancient Egypt, Iraq, or Persia. These are useful but lack certainty. Historical eras. Some historians divide history into 3 eras. 1. Ancient era, from the world's creation to the fall of the Roman Empire. 2. Medieval era, from the fall of Rome to the conquest of Constantinople by Sultan Mehmet II. 3. Modern era. From the conquest of Constantinople onward. Events are often dated relative to significant milestones, such as the creation of Adam, Noah's flood, Jesus' birth, Vikramaditya's era, or Prophet Muhammad's migration. Today, the Christian and Islamic calendars are most widely used. Islamic history. Among all nations and religions, only Islam and Muslims possess a complete, authentic history from beginning to end, free from doubt. Muslims have meticulously recorded events from the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to the present, with no negligence. They take pride in compiling their history from contemporary historians and eyewitnesses, with narrations reaching the level of tawatur, undeniable authenticity. Muslim historians exercised such care that they recorded events as they were, avoiding personal opinions to prevent influencing readers or diminishing the event's true impact. The grandeur of Islamic history is evident when tested against rational principles and intellectual scrutiny, revealing no flaws or imperfections. The History of Histories. The ruins of Babylon and Nineveh, the pillars of Adoram in the Najd Desert, Egypt's pyramids, and Bamiyan statues spark curiosity about their creators. Attempts to chronicle Babylonian history rely on incomplete traditions. Egyptian hieroglyphs and inscriptions provide some insight into the builders of the pyramids. Texts like the Zendavesta Vedic scriptures, the Bible, Ramayana, and Mahabharata offer partial, often unreliable, accounts. Proverbs, stone tools, metal artifacts, statues, mummies, Ashoka's pillars, Ellora's caves, Sarnatha's idols, Persepola's ruins, and China's Great Wall collectively provide faint historical glimpses, though not comprehensive illumination. Hindu myths, Egyptian inscriptions, Chinese traditions, Persian ruins, Greek writings, Jewish narratives, and Arab traditions form the foundational elements of history. The conquests of Alexander the Great mark a clearer historical period, with less discontinuity. While studying Greece, Egypt, and Persia delights historians, India's historical opacity frustrates them, as its people often blended myth with truth. In contrast, Arabia's commitment to accurate traditions, genealogies, and precise event narration stands out, making its pre-Islamic traditions a valuable historical resource. The true beginning of history. With the revelation of the Quran, Arabia rose to prominence, overshadowing all other civilizations, which crumbled like scattered dust. The meticulous preservation of hadith and the development of sciences, like narrators' biographies, mark the true beginning of history. Muslim historians compiled works covering every aspect of civilization and society, with unmatched attention to accuracy. Muslims also contributed significantly to documenting other nations' histories. The science of historiography owes its elevation to Muslims, particularly Ibn Khaldun, whose principles continue to earn global reverence. As Muslim scholarship waned, European historians, their students, partially filled the gap. History of empires. Unlike other creatures, humans are not limited by innate abilities, but can expand their potential through effort, constantly progressing from lowliness to greatness. Those who achieve greater heights, though not absolutely perfect, are relatively superior, yet always aware of their imperfections due to the infinite potential for growth. Human nature inclines toward servitude to the ultimate source of progress. As stated, I have not created jinn and mankind except to worship me. This inclination leads to acknowledging a relatively superior human as a leader, forming the basis of kingship and governance. A king is a representative of Allah's authority, but only Allah possesses absolute perfection, free from all flaws and endowed with all virtues. Humans, aware of their imperfections, naturally incline toward obedience. The Quran commands, "Obey Allah, obey the Messenger, and those in authority among you." A leader must possess relative excellence, but human fallibility allows for misuse of power, leading to conflicts and turmoil when unworthy individuals assume leadership. Governance is divided into spiritual and temporal. The Quran highlights Taluit's appointment as king due to his superiority in knowledge and physical strength. Quran 2:247, and David's victory over Goliath, earning him kingship and wisdom. Historically, physical strength and valor were primary qualifications for leadership, later supplemented by intellectual and moral qualities. A ruler must be the finest human, and unrest arises when an unworthy person ascends the throne. Personality and democracy. Humans, as the noblest of creation, are naturally inclined to follow a superior being, guiding them toward monotheism and away from false deities. Satan's greatest deception was convincing humans to prioritize lineage over merit for leadership, leading to unqualified heirs assuming power and oppressing the worthy. This error caused widespread chaos, which Prophet Muhammad rectified by demonstrating ideal governance. His companions, trained in his teachings, selected the most qualified leaders, breaking the tradition of hereditary rule. Abu Bakr's selection of Umar and Umar's choice of Uthman were based on merit, though Uthman's favoritism toward relatives caused some unrest. The Prophet's 23-year leadership and the subsequent Rashidun Caliphate set a model for rulers. After the Rashidun era, human weakness and satanic deception reintroduced hereditary rule, making governance a privilege of specific families rather than the deserving. This led to unqualified rulers, forcing people to endure hardships to remove them. Frustrated, some turned to modern democracies like those in France and the USA, which, while appealing, are not ideal. Islam's proposed system, a blend of personal leadership and democratic principles, was exemplified in the Rashidun Caliphate. A leader is chosen through collective agreement, guided by Quran and Sunnah, ensuring the most qualified person governs. The ruler enforces divine laws, can be corrected if erring, but is obeyed in lawful matters. This system avoids the excesses of pure democracy, which undermines spirituality and morality, and hereditary rule, which elevates the unworthy. Our starting point. Muslim historians often begin with Prophet Adam or the creation, but I start with Prophet Muhammad, as pre-Islamic history is less certain and historiography was less developed. Moreover, in common understanding, Islam begins with him, though in reality, it existed since Adam. The Prophet's life, the Rashidun Caliphate, and subsequent Islamic history are meticulously documented, offering a complete and authentic record unmatched by any other nation. History and geography. Geography is closely tied to history, and modern histories often include it. Biographers of the Prophet included Arabia's geography for context. However, a concise Islamic history covering the entire Muslim world makes extensive geographical inclusion challenging. I assume readers have access to maps, but I plan to include relevant maps where necessary. Details of pre-Islamic Arabia, its tribes, and customs are kept brief. For the Prophet's life, I prioritize hadith over historical texts, using sources like Al-Tabari, Ibn al-Athir, al-Masudi, Abu al-Faida, Ibn Khaldun, and as-Suyuti to compile a reliable summary. Post-Abbasid decline. Regional Islamic histories are drawn from contemporary sources, occasionally referencing Christian historians for corroboration, though their works are less reliable due to their casual approach to accuracy.